Today, we find ourselves in a valley, Stardew Valley. Come with me and let's redraw some bachelors and bachelorettes. Since this past week was the 10-year anniversary of Stardew Valley, I decided to take it upon myself to redraw 3 of the bachelorettes and 3 of the bachelors. Hold on, wait a minute. Next video, I will be getting into the other candidates. And as usual, the timestamps are in the description box down below if you'd like to skip to any specific section. For those of you that don't know or may be curious about what Stardew Valley is an open-ended country life RPG where you've inherited a farm from your grandfather who's passed on and you get sick of city life, so you go to the country and you take over the farm that's been ran down and you start to rebuild it, along with being able to fish and go to the mines and mine. Basically, you're trying to help this town's economy against this corporation that has come in or has been there. But also, one of the many things that people really like about this game, including myself, is that you can marry and even get divorced if you want, and you're able to have kids and everything in this game, which is really interesting and kind of one of its kind. The first of its kind, I should say. Was released in 2016, and this past week was its 10th anniversary, as I said before. I don't know the exact day of this past week when it came out exactly, or when the anniversary was. So I decided, in celebration of that, since I am a fan of the game and I play on and off, and right now I haven't played it in a while, but I might start playing it again before I do part 2 of this video. So Haley is one of the bachelorettes that you can marry, or one of the singles if you rather. She's a photographer. She really enjoys everything pink and very girly. She enjoys the beach. She's always at the beach. And she has this mean girl personality, but as you get to know her and go through all the hard events with her, you end up learning that she actually has a soft spot and she's really friendly, which happens with a lot of these characters in this game, is that they really do have a character progression, which it's really fun to play every single time. It makes me want to keep back and play again. I've never married Haley. I've only gone up to like the best friend level because I've married another marriage candidate most of the time. Yeah, I'll get into that later in the video. But let's talk about this redraw of Haley. For this redraw, I kept it sweet and simple. I kept it exactly to her original design. The only changes are her hair and maybe the shirt at the most. So for her shirt, I gave it some ruffles at the top, because that's what I thought it was in the game, and I really don't know if it's an off-the-shoulder moment or not in the game, so I just decided to make it a tank top. Just take off the shoulders anyways, because I don't think it's even like that in the game. I'm not sure, because it's pixelated. I cannot tell, ladies and gentlemen, and they, thems. Her hair, I just want it to be super big and glorious. Give it a little Dolly Parton, Sabrina Carpenter-esque moment, because I love me some big hair. And also, she looks like about the perception of every mean girl I've lived around in my life in Oklahoma. And I had to do the mud scene. It's my favorite scene of all the hard events because she just lets loose and it's awesome here. It's so cute. So this is the final design and I killed it. I love this. It encapsulated perfectly. Our second candidate, Leah. She is an artist who escaped the city for a quieter life in the forest because the hustle and the bustle was getting her down. Also, she just wanted to focus on her art. And her story arc is one of gaining self-confidence in every way. And you're there to help her as the farmer. And so you're able to encourage and support her and basically get her to put on an art show in the town or to start showing her art online / selling it online, because our girl's getting a little bit tight in the pockets, a little broke, because she ain't making no money right now. She only had enough money, to move out to the forest, and that's what happened. So now, that is your job to do once you get to the friendship level. I've gotten to like level 6 or 8. Every time I get to like level 8 or 6 with her, though, it gets a little weird because I'm already married by that point. Or if I'm not married, it's really cool. But she gives you a sculpture, and it says, "This is what I think of you," and it's really to your interpretation. But to me, it looks like a big old swirl, so very cute and curly, I guess. All right. Anyways, so for her design, I wanted to keep exactly the same, almost exactly the same, but revamped a little bit. So I really wanted to focus on her braid because it's really interesting. It's intriguing for me. It was really fun to draw because it had a lot of moving parts to it. So it was a loose braid to the side, and then her outfit, I wanted to make it look more, just more artsy, more natural, I guess. So that's why I went with the vest in, oh my god, and the tank top under the tied shirt, along with the suspenders, which are in the character design, and I just had to figure out how to put those in there somehow, so that's what I did. But I also wanted to give her some really muscular arms, because I mean, if she's sculpting all day, she has to have really strong hands and arms. Just logically thinking there. So I wanted to give her some muscular arms and more of a fit body type because of that. Because, I mean, she's chiseling at stone or marble all day. I mean, you know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I've never met a sculptor before. I've only met people who fire kilns, you know, and that's a whole different vibe. But yeah, and so I wanted to keep her color scheme the same. I color picked for a lot of these characters, and I really tried to keep it to the same as much as I could, but I just wanted to revamp them a little bit into my style. So because you know, the pixelated style is cool, but your girl don't do pixelated art. So yeah, and plus two, I'm so used to drawing aliens. This was quite the challenge for me, and it was really fun because I got to draw some girlies. And I don't get to draw a lot of girls because my aliens are mostly dudes, so this was nice. And so I kind of went really all in with the girls. Not gonna lie. So back to my art process. Let me explain this a little bit. So this is the colored outline because I like to use colors for my outlines. And yes, I use outlines. I know some people think don't use outlines. Don't do it, but this is my style. I like a heavy outline or just like a really just strict outline. Still shaky looking, but that's, you know, that's just part of my style. I like how it looks. So, because it gives it a more natural effect, but it also, as someone who comes from a more caricature drawing background, trying to imitate different things in different people when I'm drawing, like memes and stuff, I'm more used to the caricature art style when it comes to things, you know, just for the exaggerations. So this was more of a case study of a regular, just simple poses, which was really fun for me. It's something different than I usually do. And even the comic art style is more caricature-esque because, I mean, you're capturing strong, you know, emotions to get the comical effect. But yeah, so then for the colors, I lay down the flats first, and then I go in and I start detailing with my lasso tool. My lasso tool is my best friend. I color with it, I highlight with it, I shadow with it. Everything that you could do with a lasso tool, that's what I do. And that's why I like the heavy outline, because I get to treat every drawing like I'm coloring in a coloring book. And that is just so fun. And so here is the final image of Leah, and she looks great. Oh my god, the muscles look awesome, and so does her hair. Emily, the last bachelorette for this video. So sad, but we'll get the rest of the next one. She works at the Star Drop Saloon part-time to help pay the bills at her and Haley's house because Haley doesn't work, so there's no income coming in, and their parents stopped paying for them even though their parents are quite rich. But either way, it seems like we can imply that Haley kind of spent a lot of the money, so ended up making Emily having to get a part-time job. But anyways, Emily is kind of a health guru in a sense. She does yoga. Most of her heart events deal with crystals of some kind. She's also very caring and kind, very friendly. Such as during one of her heart events, a parrot flies into her window and she helps rescues it and then keeps it as a pet. And she also dances constantly in this game at every town event or celebration. So Emily's main goal is to become a seamstress so she can stop working at the saloon. She's a very simple character compared to the rest of them, in my opinion. She's still really cool, and she's one of the friendliest, so you can't dislike her too much, truly. If you can tell from my summary, Emily is one of those characters that I gotta admit, almost guiltily, that sometimes I just don't become like super close to her or go through her heart events as much as the others. Her, Clint, and then there's one other person that I definitely just totally skip over the heart events with. But like, not all the time. It's just some playthroughs I completely forget they exist. Not gonna lie, sorry. But yeah, it's because their stories, I mean, they're integral to some things in the town, but they're not like super needed. And Emily, she's, you know, I like her character, very simple, very cool, but it's just one of those storylines that once you play it through, you really don't have to play it again, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. If you're mad, you know, sound off in the comment section. If you agree, then yeah, tell me what you think. Okay, on to a less controversial opinion and subject. Let's talk about her design. So, her haircut gave me trouble. It gave me so much trouble. Because I was trying to figure out if it was a pixie cut, if it was just a messy bob, if we had like a fringe situation going on. And I redid it about a bajillion times. And then her outfit, I could not figure out for the life of me if it was a polo shirt with a skirt or like a Peter Pan collar on her dress. So I just took the collar off and I decided it's a dress. I think it looks better this way. But I also thought I should have put the collar back on, but this is the final look and I would think it looks better collarless. Our first bachelor of the episode, Sam. Give it up for Sam. So Sam is outgoing, energetic, has a passion for music. He works part-time at the JoJo Mart, and he lives with his mom and little brother, and then later on his father. His quest line is just to get it going with his band, to stop working at the JoJo Mart and become a famous rock star. Who doesn't love a rock star? So Sam, he helps take care of his brother. He has a little fling with one of the townspeople named Penny, and he kind of is a nuisance for his mother because he can't cook. And I assume from the context of everything, he's probably one of the younger marriage candidates in this game. That being said, they're all adults, so the younger the adults, I just want to say like 19 to 25. That's my guesstimate. Yeah, so Sam, he's one of the bachelors that I definitely have married about 1,000 times, actually. And yeah, I have favoritism towards him. But it's because he has the rock star vibe. Also, he looked a lot like Luke Hemmings from 5 Seconds of Summer to me in this style. And then that turned into him looking like Goku, and I was not into that. And quickly switched over to the other marriage candidate that I now marry from now on. So, but we'll get into them in a minute. So, for his design, I really didn't want any of the rockstar influences that I personally thought he would look like put onto him. So instead, I went a different direction. Because drawing his hair, like Emily's, was a lot of work. Because I realized halfway through drawing his hair the first time that he has a mullet. Yep. Achy, breaky heart mullet. And I don't know, you guys don't know me, so I'm going to tell you, I don't like mullets. I personally don't like them at all. I mean, not even fashion mullets. Fashion mullets sometimes are okay, but if someone has a mullet, it's a no for me, okay? No. But he had a mullet, so I had to draw a mullet. So I went with a rock star mullet. I started looking at images, and I found this like punk rocker that had this like spiky mullet, and I was like, oh, it's perfect. And after I started drawing, I don't know where my mind started wandering, and it turned into a David Bowie mullet. And I was like, it's perfect. It's exactly what I want. And so I put that on his head, and it actually stayed consistent. I'm very proud of the consistency. I am not usually good with consistency with crazy hair like this. So, and I thought it just fit the vibe more overall because it's going for that small town look. You know, some looks just never leave small towns, and where I'm from, it's the same vibe. Mullets never left fashion, even though I wish they did. Even in the good year of 2016 when I was 16. Real. Besides that, first time drawing a guitar for me, so gotta say, I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of traced over a guitar, but I did pretty damn good tracing, okay? But it looks really good. I love the guitar, honestly. It's the best element to me. It really pulled the design center for me. So his hair, I made it look a little too dirty blonde, in my humble opinion. If I redid it now, I would put more blonde on it. But, you know, you live and you learn. But at the same time, I kind of like the vibe it gives off. It gives off more of the rock star vibe. Looks like he had dyed, grown out hair, even though his hair is probably naturally blonde, just looking at everyone else in his family. Otherwise, I think this looks great. Alright, I'm gonna try a new thing here. If you made this far in the video, type mullet in the comments, just to see how many of y'all made this far. Also, look at this. He looks rockin'. On to our second bachelor, Elliot. Elliot is an aspiring writer. He is quite romantic and sentimental when it comes to things. He's also really dramatic, let's be so for real. And he lives on the beach in a cabin alone because it inspires him, and you as the farmer could be his inspiration, and you are if you become friends with him or if you marry him. And as the farmer, you basically work as his muse, sort of, or just the person he goes to for advice. So, a muse. And the first question he asks you during the 2-heart event is what type of novel you like, and he only gives you 3 choices: mystery, romance, and sci-fi. And as, you know, a writer, artist, and just a reader, enjoyer of all of the arts here, I struggle with that. I think that's the hardest choice I've ever had to make in this game, honestly. And then after that, every single one of his heart events has to deal with him writing and all that jazz. And then on his 8-heart event, I'm pretty sure, you end up at the library when he finally finishes his novel of whichever type you decide to pick, and everyone listens for hours before leaving because they just can't make it through it. But it's awesome because if you do marry him, he does leave to go around the world for his world tour of his book, but he sends you a letter every day he's gone, and it's so romantic. I'm not gonna even lie. And yes, this is my husband. Yep. Every time from now on in, he's my husband. Yep. Yeah, ever since since the first time he said, I think a crab was in my pocket this morning, I was like, this is my husband. This silly little man will forever be my husband in this game now. And therefore, I got an excuse to draw the mermaid pendant. And in the game, if you do not know, the mermaid pendant is basically a wedding ring, okay? And it's just super cute. It's like a little conch shell or a spiral shell. I don't know what you call it. And so I got to draw that. And I got to draw books. So many books and paper because he is a writer and I enjoy drawing those things. So that's why I'm in 3 poses. All of them get 3 poses just to show off, you know, them and their various states and activities. And so for his, it was really simple. The first one was him holding just like revision papers and ideas sketched onto little like sticky notes. And you'll see it later on when I get into the coloring and the line art that goes over the messy sketch that I have going on here. And yeah, and then the next one is him reading a book, and then one of him sweating because he just watered the plants even though the sprinklers are going to turn on anyways, but he doesn't know that. Because it happens every time I play the game. Okay, on to the line art. So for this line art, I made sure to go in extra hard on the hair. The hair, I lined the crap out of. I inked it to hell and back pretty much because I wanted to do a lot less shading and figuring out where the shadings can be placed. And so I used this as my guide map. So I put a bunch of dark lines at the roots so that I knew where I was going to shade it at, especially right in front of his forehead there. That's where the darker roots are going to be and the shadowing. So that's what I did with that. And I'll do that for each and every single one of the hairs is because I just wanted to do less work when it came to the detailing later on. because it was going to be a big challenge to do the shading in the hair, because I like to go into a lot of detail with hair because I like to make it look shiny, especially if it's the straight and wavy, luscious looking kind, just like Leia's. And so yeah, and then his outfit, I did one major change. So instead of that tailcoat that he has weirdly rolled up at his elbows, I just changed it into a big blazer with huge shoulder pads. Because once again, I'm just going into that retroish look. Instead of, vintage Victorian fashion, kind of, I just went to a different vintage, kind of a more newer one, and the one that's coming back into fashion. I mean, Benito wore it during the Super Bowl, shoulder pads, so I'm saying, yeah, okay, I can actually put this in my drawings now again. And so here again, I'm just shading the hair with my line art so I can do less work on the back end. Going heavy with the hair again, but I did want to point out that for his face, I did go in lighter colors for the eyelids, around the bottom of the eye, just because if I put black on the bottom of the eye, it looked like eyeliner. And for this specific picture, I didn't want it to look like he had eyeliner on. For the next person, it will. Next person it won't. I thought it was going to be someone else. I haven't gotten there yet. That's going to be next video. But yes, so if you do the lighter color on the eyes for the outline, and from what I've learned while doing this, it makes it look way more natural, especially if you're doing like a guy's eyes, especially, or just anyone who doesn't wear makeup on their bottom eyelid. Yeah, and so here we go with the coloring and the shading of the hair. And I was trying to shade it here, blend it together with my blending tool, and then immediately undid all of it because I didn't like the way it looked. So instead, I erased some of the line art, and see what I mean by I used it only to plan it out. So I erased the top of the line art just to make it look more natural, and so the hair stands out even more, because if I kept the line art, it would have been way too separated, and when his hair would have looked super oily. So oily and shiny, big difference, and it's a very slight change, but it's a big change. Okay, for this one, I wanted the light to look like it was coming down from the right side, so that's why there's minimal shading and only on the left side. Okay, and then on his hair right here is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. Gonna go in with the shading, block it in, try shading again, try blending again with my blend tool, realize I'm not in love with the blending style, and then you'll see that I go and erase some of the line art on the top of his head, just so that the roots themselves stand out. And then the shading for the clothes is simple. Block it in, and just making sure that the lighting looks like it's coming down on top of him. And this one was just a goof, truly, for me. I did not love the way it came out, but it looks pretty silly, and it's what I'm used to doing, is the caricature style. Yeah, so I had to redo the face on this one. It just wasn't looking right. I figured out when his head was in the profile pose to the side, his lips were standing out way too much, and it just did not look right. I'm very proud of this final look. It looks so good. Our third and final bachelor for this video, Sebastian. He is a rebellious loner who lives in his parents' basement. He is Maru's half-brother. He's the older sibling of the two. He feels like the black sheep of the family due to Maru getting a lot more positive attention from both his parents. And his parents are Robin, who is the carpenter of the town, and Demetrius, who is the scientist of the town. And then he is also in the band with Sam and Abigail, and he is the keyboardist or the bassist, or he's both. And then he has a job where he codes. That's fine. And then he walks around and smokes at night, like every night. And yeah, that's Sebastian. So Sebastian, I've gone to a 6 heart event with him, and that heart event is where you go to his house. You've already established like a friendship by then. You play D&D essentially with him and Sam, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I can't lie. Sebastian, he gives me major like friend energy. I don't know how else to put it. I think it's just because he reminds me of a lot of friends I've had, and so therefore I just have no like real desire to ever pursue him romantically in the game, and that's totally cool. But his story is pretty interesting, Because during one of the hard events, you learn that he has a motorcycle and he's working on it. And so it's a little bit unexpected because he never leaves his house except for at nighttime. And you're like, where did this motorbike come from, Sebastian? And he's like, I've had it and I just need to fix it. And you're like, cool. So that's pretty much his character. Honestly, I do his quests usually every time because it forces me to go into the mines, because his liked items are all in the mines and they're deep in the mines, and it's challenging, so it keeps me wanting to play the game, keeps me stimulated, keeps me challenged. For his look, I of course went off the little profile picture you get when that pops up when they talk to you, but I did add a little bit of something else to it. So like his asymmetrical cut that he's got going on, I decided to add in an undercut because I thought it needed a little bit more edge to it, even though it's already got a lot of edge. But I was like, let's just zhuzh it up a bit, make it a little fluffy as well. And so that's really all I changed, is just those two things. And I just interpret him to be mixed as well, as long, along with his sister. I think he's like half indigenous Native American or Asian, specifically Vietnamese. Just because, I'm going off of what's around me, all right? And as a fellow mixed person myself, I want more diversity in this whole entire game. That's the one thing I'm really asking for. So of course I headcanon him as mixed too, because why not? Why not? Because I can, that's why. Only real major hiccup with Stardew Valley, but other than that, good game. Anyways, back to the drawing. So for the coloring, as usual, flats down, but I did it a little differently this time, and I focused all in the face and the hair first, and I did the shadowing, the lighting, everything. And this one, I just really want to focus on the motorcycle. It looks so good. I can't believe I drew a freaking motorcycle, guys. I did that. I'm that girl. Anyways, yes. And I think I did really good on the hair too, because I haven't done darker colors before and made them have lighting on top and not have the lighting overtake the dark. It looks so good. And then you can tell what the shadows are. I'm so proud of myself. You guys don't even know how proud of myself I am for that. But yes, here we are. There's Sebastian in all his broody glory. Gotta love him. As usual, thank you for watching this video. Every single view means the world to me. Until next time,